Everything that's old is new again, and we have seen studios take chances on new IPs lately with middling success. And the thing about bringing back a dormant IP is that it already has a built-in fan base. There is less marketing and risk in bringing these games back, and in our three-part series, we're going to look at PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo and list the 5 dormant exclusives that need to make a comeback. So here are the top 5 Nintendo exclusives that need to come back. Firstly, there should be some guidelines for what should make the list, and there are 5 major points. 1, it needs to be a minimum of 10 years since the last entry. 2, nothing official about the development of a new title. 3, this is our list, which means some popular games might be left off the list. Your list will be completely different. 4, mobile titles don't count towards the minimum 10-year hiatus. And 5, it needs to fit into the portfolio to make sense, otherwise it's just not going to get brought back. Wave Race needs to make a comeback for the simple reason that there is nothing like it. Even to this day, Wave Race 64 had some of the best water physics. The only other time in gaming that I've seen water as awe-inspiring was in Sea of Thieves. I don't know what Nintendo needs to do to make Wave Race relevant again today, but there is nothing like it in Nintendo's portfolio or in the gaming market completely. Nintendo has always embraced the blue ocean strategy of going where there is less competition, and a jet ski game would definitely have less competition. Obviously, simple things like adding in online multiplayer would be a smart feature and a smart place to start, and this would bring the series to the modern age, but beyond that, it's tough to say as sometimes keeping things simple is best. F-Zero. You can make the argument that the reason that Diddy Kong Racing hasn't made a comeback is because Mario Kart has evolved into much more than just a simple kart racer. They have incorporated other types of vehicles, zero-gravity sections, flying sections with parachutes, and a whole bunch of other evolutionary changes. F-Zero, on the other hand, makes more sense because even though there are some F-Zero tracks in Mario Kart 8, the game still lacks the hardcore difficulty that was the futuristic racer. Not only does F-Zero fill a gap in Nintendo's portfolio of a hardcore racer, but with a few modern changes to the series, it could easily compete with Forza and Gran Turismo by adding in some dynamic weather and a deep tuning system, and then you have a good base to build from. There has never been a bad Punch-Out. Still to this day, secrets are being found about 1987's Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, including seeing the audience flash and tell you when to dodge, or even using a certain button combination on the second controller to make the game 2 players. The first 2 games on the NES and the SNES were developed in-house. However, the 2009 reboot was developed by then indie studio Next Level Games from Canada, who made an amazing entry on the Wii. Since 2009, there hasn't been another Punch-Out, and Next Level Games was acquired by Nintendo in 2021. There is a good chance that Next Level Games returns to the series, but the big question is when. Their last game was in 2022 with Mario Strikers Battle League, which underwhelmed both commercially and critically. However, their title before that was Luigi's Mansion 3, which was a hit on both accounts, and means that their next game has a strong possibility to be either a sequel to Punch-Out or Luigi's Mansion 4. Ring Fit Adventure and Switch Sports were both commercial hits, and Nintendo could use some more high-quality motion-based games that offer multiple ways to play, and Punch-Out fits this bill perfectly. With the exception of Dr. Mario World that was released in 2019 on mobile and eventually shut down in 2021, the series has only gotten one original entry back in 1990. Obviously, since then, it has been on just about every Nintendo console since in one form or another, but is yet to get a true sequel. There are 3 very good reasons why Dr. Mario should return to Switch with its first original console release in over 30 years. First, there is nothing like it in Nintendo's current portfolio. There is Puyo Puyo Tetris, but that is lacking the Mario IP power and is made by Sega. Dr. Mario, on the other hand, not only has the IP behind it, but secondly, it also has strong sales history. According to VG Sales, Dr. Mario has sold 11.49 million copies. And finally, there is a market for these type of puzzle games. When Tetris 99 was announced for the Nintendo Switch Online back in 2019, it definitely had a moment, and everyone in the game industry was buzzing about it. In their first earnings call after the release of Tetris 99 just months later, Nintendo announced that Tetris 99 had been played by over 2.8 million players. So how do you bring back Dr. Mario in 2023? I think by incorporating some type of inner space style campaign story that features roguelite elements similar to Slay the Spire. Decide where you want to travel to the body next, find items along the way that can help you battle the enemies, and this would be a fun way to tackle the game solo. As for multiplayer, the key would be to incorporate Nintendo Switch Online with its Tetris 99 style tournaments, but also to embrace the local functionality of the Switch. There are a lot more obvious Nintendo IP that would make sense, like Kid Icarus or Earthbound, but there is no shortage of platformers or RPGs on the Switch. How many series can actually go back as far as Excitebike and its influential roots on Nintendo to 1984? Designed, directed, and produced by Miyamoto, Excitebike was the foundation that Super Mario Bros. Was created with its side-scrolling engine. In my head, I can see Excitebike making a return with influences of modern biking games like Trials and Lonely Mountains Downhill. The key here is not trying to be cutting-edge visuals, but instead a more retro approach to this series. The other two entries in the series, Excitebike 64 and Excite Truck, were both trying to compete graphically with technology at the time. Nintendo also wasn't the lead developer on those two titles. The other crucial and major aspect of a revival would be to borrow from Super Mario this time around and take the path of Super Mario Maker. A curated amount of levels would be great, but what if you created a very strong speedrunning community inside the game with user-created levels? There is currently nothing in Nintendo's portfolio that fills the same gap as Excitebike. Family-friendly, challenging, and a nostalgia-heavy franchise. Those are the 5 classic Nintendo IP that we think need to be rebooted. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the list and what you think should be on the list. Don't forget to check out our other 2 videos on the 5 PlayStation exclusives and the 5 Xbox exclusives that need to come back.